Think about it for a second. How can something as abstract as a new mobile app or a tech startup completely transform a nation? Well, it has happened. Countries like South Korea, China, and India have turned technology into their superpower, lifting themselves out of poverty and into the ranks of global economic giants. Today, we're going to uncover how technology is not just shaping the future, it's building nations. These aren't just stories from the past, but real examples of how tech can take a country from struggling to thriving. Stick around because this is one ride you won't want to miss. Setting the stage, the problem. Let's rewind to the 1940s and 1950s. After World War I, Japan was decimated. Cities lay in ruins, and the country had very little infrastructure to speak of. By 1950, Japan's GDP per capita was a mere $1,000. It was a nation struggling with poverty, and many predicted it would never rise again. Japan has not only recovered, but it's also an economic powerhouse with a GDP of $4.4 trillion. The country is home to some of the world's largest technology companies like Toyota, Sony, and Panasonic. South Korea's situation post-Korean War was no different. In the 1950s, the country had one of the lowest per capita incomes in the world, $67 in 1953. By 2024, it has emerged as a $2 trillion economy, driven by technological innovation. The country boasts the world's fastest 5G network and continues to lead in areas like semiconductor production. And India. In 1947, after gaining independence, India was deeply impoverished. At the time, India's literacy rate was only 12%, and its infrastructure was extremely underdeveloped. Today, India's GDP is over $3.7 trillion, with a booming tech sector that includes companies like Infosys, Tata Consultancy Services, and Wipro, making India one of the world's largest IT services exporters. These countries didn't wait for help, they grabbed technology by the reins and used it to shape their destinies. Inspiring examples. Number 1. Japan, the land of recovery and innovation. After World War II, Japan was left in ruins, but it didn't stay there for long. By the late 1950s, Japan started to focus on rebuilding its economy, and technology was at the core of this strategy. The country's industrialization was driven by heavy investments in research and development, and the government played a critical role in fostering collaboration between private companies and public institutions. In the 1960s, Japan's focus on the automobile and electronics industries paid off. By 1970, Toyota and Honda were not only surviving, they were leading global markets. Sony, Panasonic, and other electronics giants pushed the boundaries of innovation, bringing products like the Sony Walkman, 1979, to the world. Japan's GDP per capita reached $35,000, and it remains the world's third largest economy. Toyota alone sold over 10 million vehicles globally in 2023, continuing to innovate with electric and hydrogen-powered vehicles. Japan's investment in education and technology in the post-war era laid the foundation for its global technological dominance. By the 2020s, Japan had become synonymous with innovation, with cutting-edge technology in robotics, electronics, and automobiles. Number 2. South Korea, from war-torn to tech titan. South Korea's post-Korean War history is one of the most remarkable transformations in modern times. After the war, the country was devastated, and poverty was widespread. In 1953, South Korea's per capita income was just $67, making it one of the poorest countries in the world. However, in the 1960s, the government, under President Park Chung-hee, launched the 5-year economic plans. These plans focused on heavy industrialization, technological innovation, and a robust education system. South Korea invested heavily in technology, developing key sectors like electronics and automobiles. The Samsung Group, for example, started as a small trading company in 1938, but by the 1970s, It began focusing on electronics and later, semiconductors. South Korea has become a global technology leader. South Korea's Samsung Electronics alone generated over $240 billion in revenue in 2023. The company leads the smartphone market globally, with more than 20% market share. South Korea is also one of the world leaders in semiconductors, with the semiconductor industry contributing 17% of the country's GDP. Additionally, the country boasts one of the world's fastest 5G networks, with more than 90% of the population covered by 5G technology. This technology continues to fuel the country's leadership in AI, Internet of Things, and smart cities development. Number 3. Singapore, small but mighty. Singapore's story is a little different, but no less impressive. In the 1960s, Singapore was a small, resource-poor country with limited potential. However, the government of Lee Kuan Yew made a clear commitment to technology and innovation as the key drivers of the nation's growth. By the 1980s, Singapore was already making significant investments in high-tech industries, especially electronics and information technology. It rapidly developed a world-class infrastructure, positioning itself as a major global hub for logistics and finance. Today, Singapore is known for its Smart Nation initiatives, which leverage technology to improve everything from urban planning to healthcare. Singapore is ranked among the top global digital economies, with a GDP of $450 billion. It leads the Asia-Pacific region in AI innovation, with major investments in AI research, blockchain, and cybersecurity. Singapore's investment in education has made it one of the most technologically advanced countries in the world, with 100% internet penetration and a growing tech startup ecosystem. It's no surprise that Singapore is the preferred base for tech giants like Google, Facebook, and Amazon in Southeast Asia. The role of technology in development. Technology has played a fundamental role in transforming nations, and it continues to shape the world in profound ways today, especially in areas like education, digital economies, and agriculture. In education, the rise of online learning platforms like Khan Academy, Coursera, and edX has revolutionized access to quality education. No longer limited by geographic boundaries, these platforms have enabled millions of students to learn from anywhere. In Africa, for example, mobile learning apps have empowered individuals in remote regions, providing access to educational resources that were once out of reach. By 2024, digital learning platforms have reached over 100 million students globally, democratizing education and giving rise to a new wave of lifelong learners. In the digital economy, countries like India have experienced explosive growth in sectors like e-commerce and digital payments. With giants such as Flipkart and Paytm leading the charge, India's digital payment sector has surged in value, reaching an impressive $1 trillion. India now ranks second globally for digital payment transactions, trailing only China. Moreover, India has produced over 100 unicorns companies valued at over $1 billion thanks to its thriving startup ecosystem, making it one of the world's leading hubs for tech innovation. Finally, the integration of artificial intelligence and the Internet of Things is transforming industries and agriculture. South Korea has been at the forefront of this revolution, particularly in sectors like automobiles, healthcare, and manufacturing, where AI has helped reduce costs and boost productivity. The country is also pioneering in smart agriculture, using Internet of Things and AI to enhance crop yields and minimize waste. South Korea is conducting trials of autonomous farming techniques that could potentially reshape global agricultural practices, offering more sustainable and efficient solutions to feed the world's growing population. And that's a wrap on how technology is transforming nations and shaping the future. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's completely free, and by subscribing, you'll be joining a community of people who are passionate about the future of technology. You won't want to miss what's coming next. So go ahead, subscribe, like, and share this with anyone who needs some tech inspiration in their life. Drop your thoughts in the comments what tech innovation excites you the most. Let's keep the conversation going.